Welcome back for the Week 2 recap of the GVCC GTour at Wheatland. This is one of the west side courses, usually known for having some pretty strong winds, usually some crosswinds, and the course is a 13.5K loop. It's one of our longer courses that we run, and there's just a couple of rollers. It's reasonably flat, and it usually leads to a good race. And we are underway. We had 5 laps up for tonight, just under 70K. And we're getting off to a pretty easy start here. We're headed downwind. Again, the biggest factor tonight was the wind. It was like 25 miles per hour sustained, mostly out of the west. And there were some gusts too. This is a rural course. So you've got barns and houses and fences and stuff, trees. And anytime you get just past that into an opening, you can have some big gusts coming through. So you definitely had to protect your wheel. And I think there was a lot of nervous energy as we headed into the first crosswind section. At least there was for me. We'll skip ahead just a little bit to our first turn and the first time going through the heavy crosswind section. And I'm already setting myself up for failure here. Last wheel is not the spot to be. And I know this, and I'm doing it anyway because I'm an idiot. Big power spike, and already gaps starting to open up a little bit. A little bit protected from trees there, but not really. And you can almost see ahead. We had some barging and, yeah, right there. Things spread out a bit, and a few bodies went over to the left side pretty hard there, but luckily everyone held it up. And I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it was hard just to keep going forward here and not fall off your bike. And again, I've got too much of a gap. I'm not in any kind of protection here, and I'm just wasting watts. This hurts to watch. After the race, I looked at the numbers, and a teammate of mine who was much smarter than me was in the draft here, and he did 100 watts less than me through this section, and we went the same speed. Yeah, that's just not setting yourself up for success. So thankfully, I survived that first crosswind section, but I learned a very important lesson. I can't enter that turn last wheel and have any hopes of hanging on. So here we turned into pretty much a block headwind, and things slowed right down. At this point, I think Ryan and Dylan were off the front, and those guys were animals for attacking this headwind like that, but yeah, they got a pretty good gap, and nobody here wanted to do any work into that headwind. So things kind of just stayed like this for a bit. A little bit of surging, but mostly people just trying to stay safe and find any kind of shelter. Fun fact, this is our only left turn that we take all year. Which is probably good because the yellow line rule is always in effect. About 8K in now, and you can see things are starting to get strung out a little bit. Still heading mostly into the headwind, but coming up on another little rise on the course. And then we're going to be heading into a little bit of a cross tailwind section that can probably be used to create some gaps. Here we're approaching a little ramp, and Jeremy has never met a ramp he doesn't love. There he goes, blasting up the right side. And of course that gets everyone to go with him, or try to anyway. And here's where some gaps are going to start to open up again. And you can see Jeremy already has a gap. We've got one trash bird on his wheel, and a few more gaps starting to open up, and now everyone's hammering. And this is a block headwind here, but it's going to be turning into a barely cross tail. And here we go, coming up on a right turn, and you can already see there's big gaps opening. Ryan's behind me, and he does not like being behind a gap. Here's all cap Zach in the all green arm warmies. Those things are great. And as we come up on the turn, we'll be able to see some guys already gone through. So not super strung out right now, but definitely enough gaps that if you don't close them up quick, they're going to get real big. And here's the first one starting to open up. Yeah, Zach's looking for help, and I'm not ready to give any help yet. So very thankfully, he does some work here. I knew I still had Ryan in this group and a few others that are pretty strong, so I didn't want to panic and try to sprint across. So I did a little pull here, hoping we'd work and just slowly sew this back together. But Ryan sensed blood in the water, and he knew it was time to go across. And I know Ryan's a smart racer, so I tried to follow the best I could. And you can tell that was the right call by Ryan, because you see everyone in our rear view kind of going backwards. So if we don't make it across here, it's going to be a race done. So I'm pouring everything I have into this. 202 beats. I think I'm still alive. Didn't feel like I was, but thankfully we get across, almost. So close. And then another gap opens. Gah! But by this point, it's really tailwindy, so it can kind of zoom across without too much more work. So now the situation on the road, there's 2 off the front. We have 7 in this group here, and Matt just dieseling his way up to us. He'll slowly get bigger in the rear view there. But Jeremy wanted to keep pressing on here, and didn't look like anyone else was ready to. As we make the next right-hand turn, we're going to be going real fast, tailwind, and there's 2 little bumps on that side of the course. But with this much tailwind, the first one will be taken with so much speed that it really doesn't require a huge effort to get over. The second one is still steep enough, though, that if you really wanted to press, you could do some damage. So here we are after the first little bump, and there's the second ramp there. And we flew over the first one pretty easily, and the groups are starting to pull back together a little bit. But if there's one thing I know about Jeremy, it's that he's never met a ramp that he doesn't love. So watch him getting ready here. I'm sitting a little behind him, going in the drops. He's going. He's gonna go. I gotta follow him. Here he goes. I'm gonna follow him for like 2 seconds. And he just hosses up this ramp.
You got like 3 feet of air that time. Can I try it really quick?
What an animal. And now I am way over geared, and I didn't want to shift and drop a chain, so I'm grinding 60, 50 RPM. This feels awful, and I see everyone else coming through, and I'm just trying to hold on over the top and hold on to the last wheel. Which thankfully I do. And we've got a few new people in the group here. There's Grim, and we've got Drew right behind me as well. So just about 1 lap into the race, we've got 2 off the front, we've got Jeremy in between, and then 7 more in this group here, and a bit of a gap to the rest of the group behind. So we've made it through the tailwind section, and we're coming up on that really tough crosswind section again. Remember how last time I said, I can't enter this turn last wheel? Well, right on cue, I'm entering this turn last wheel. Can I get any dumber? So now I'm spending energy just trying to get back up to Drew's wheel, who's trying to get up to Ryan's wheel, who's trying to stick with the group, and I'm starting to fade. And I'm so close. Right now, all I have to do is give it one more effort and get across. Now, there's no way I don't get across here. But I don't. And that's my race done. I am now 52K from the finish line, twisting in the wind, nobody immediately behind me, and the front group riding away from me. This is a sad and lonely feeling. Just a bit later, I am rescued by a group of 4 here, and here we are heading into the headwind section, which was just evil. I'd had 3 guys in this group, and I had a teammate, Bob, and the rest of our night, our punishment for being dropped was pace lining in brutal wind for 50K. The only excitement we had was this car forgetting how stop signs work. And then remembering, but like, I don't know, 50 feet too late. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Then, about 1 hour later, suddenly, a wild Jerfy appeared. That's right, Jeff Lepkowski started several minutes behind the B group, worked his way all the way through that group, worked through the rest of the A's, and then came up to us with about 12K to go. So we were very thankful to have some help and very impressed that Jerfy could just motor through the wind seemingly unaffected by it. So that was pretty much the end of our race. I rolled across the line for 13th for the second week in a row. And luckily we do have some footage of the finish. Here comes Jeremy, who surely used that ramp to his advantage. Nice win, Jeremy. And we've got a sprint behind for second. And again, my man Jan, blasting the watts. Dylan with a very strong third. And the Prez, Brian Cardona, 4th place. Way to go, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll plan on doing another one of these next week when we're at Chilai. Thanks for watching.